So I'll be showing you how to solve this particular capture the flag challenge. It's called Mr. Robot, and it's hosted on the TryHackMe platform. So I've started it and I was able to get the first key, but I'm going to redo it and I'll show you the process of how I got the first key also. I will go ahead and solve the other challenges to recover the remaining two keys, and with this we'll be able to submit. So let's start. So I'm going to be doing this using the OpenVPN, which is the VPN that allows me to be able to access the machine remotely from my own Kali Linux. So to do that, you can just come over here and click on the OpenVPN. So here you can download it and just use this command. So install the OpenVPN and use this to run it, basically. So that's all we. So yeah, just go ahead and copy this IP address. Now, first thing we'll do is let's do a scan on it using mmap. So this is the service detection flag, and also I like using the aggressive scan flag. Then the IP address with this should be able to perform a nmap scan on the target. So it might take a while. So here is the result of the nmap scan. Here we can see it has the port 32 open, which is the SSH port. And we have the port 80, the HTTP port, and the port 443, which is also an HTTP port. So now with this, we can see it has a web server as it has the HTTP port open. So let's go ahead and visit the web server. So just put in the IP address. So, okay. So next, I think we can do a directory brute force on the web server, which is look for the hidden subdomains. And I'll be doing this using GoBuster. So here you put the site details, which you can copy over here. Let's give it a word list. So we'll be utilizing the medium word list. After this, we'll give it some extensions. Now with this, we can see it's a WordPress page. As we can see, wplogin.php, which is a WordPress content management system. So with this, we can come over here and copy this and visit it. Okay. So one thing I would say, when you're testing a web server, always try to look out for the robot.txt. So what this does is it's a file that contains rules that guides what crawlers, which is web crawlers, what they can visit and what they cannot visit. So if we just do this, robots.txt. Also, this robots.txt will also be listed as one of the hidden subdomains. But I guess this is taking some time to run, so we can just do that faster by visiting it immediately. And here we can see we have the first key. We can go ahead and copy this. So this is how I got the first key. Now with this, we've been able to solve the first challenge. So move on to finding the next key. But we have another hidden subdomain which you can try to visit. So looking at this, it seems like a word list, and I believe you can utilize this word list in brute forcing for the credentials of the particular user that has access to this WordPress login page. It's taking quite some time to load. I'm thinking it's because it's proxying the traffic through a VPN. Okay, it's downloading, so you can go ahead and download this particular page. So now that we've successfully downloaded that word list, you can go ahead and utilize it in brute forcing for the user credentials of the WordPress login page. So let's try the default credentials if they work. So what I'm noticing right now is that this particular page has verbose error message whereby it's telling us exactly that it's username that it is invalid. So with this, we can brute force for the username in such a way that we'll use Hydra to try multiple words in that word list as the username with a static password, and wherever it gets an invalid password instead of an invalid username, that will be the username we are going to leverage. So let's go ahead to do that right now. So firstly, let's navigate to the directory where the word list was downloaded. Let me confirm if I downloaded this right. So here we can see it has 858,160 lines, which is basically almost a million words. So I think we can compress this. Let's use the sort command. So now we can use Hydra to brute force that particular HTTP login page. So first we can use the Hydra help menu to get help with the commands necessary. So first thing we use here is the Hydra-L. We're using the capital L. As it allows for you to give a word list. So we'll be given a static password. So one thing we need to do here, um, we need to check the request parameters for this particular login so we know the parameters we'll be brute forcing for. So basically, if we come over here, inspect, come over to the network section. So yeah, you can see it's a post request, as it says post here. And if you come over here to check the request parameters. So for the username, the placeholder is log, and for the password, the placeholder is a PWD. So those are the parameters we are going to be brute forcing for. So now we're going to be using the HTTP post form, which can be seen here. So you can go ahead and copy the subdomain, which is wp-login.php. So you give it the placeholders for the username, which is log. So what this will do is to fill every word in this word list as a user, respectively. So now we'll come over here and get the error message. So here is a valid username. You can copy this. We can go ahead and run it now. So this will take some time, but I made mine work faster as I already did it before. So I just used a different word list. But it does take some time. It might take as much as 10 minutes, depending on how your processor is fast. So here we can see the login is Elliot and the password is pass. So you can go ahead and copy the Elliot. Copy. So this password does not mean it is the right password. It's just trying to tell us this is the only username that gave a different error code, which you'll be seeing here. So Elliot. So now you can see you have a different error code which says the password you entered for the username Elliot is incorrect. So this shows you that this particular endpoint is as a verbose error message output. So now that we know the username is correct, you can go ahead and brute force for the password field, which will be doing the same thing we did here, just that we'll be interchanging a few things. So the first thing we're going to change is the username and the password. So instead of using a word list for the username, we'll be using a single user, which is Elliot. And for the password, instead of using a static one, we are going to be utilizing the word list. And lastly, we are going to be changing the error message we put here, which was the invalid username. So this time around, we'll be using this, the password you entered for the username. So let's go ahead and copy this. You can go ahead and run this too. So that was a mistake on our part. Specify for a single username, you're meant to use the lowercase l. So I can see there's another error over here. So when you're using a word list as the password, you are meant to use a capital letter. So that means it's meant to be the uppercase P here instead. So now we can see the password is ER280652. We can go ahead and copy this. See if we get access as the user Elliot. Yeah. So now that we have access to user Elliot, you can check the type of user we are. Just go here, come to your profile or all users. So here you can see the user Elliot is the administrator, which means we now have administrator privileges to the content management system, which is the WordPress. So let's come over here to the appearance, come over to the themes. Okay. So let's go back to the appearance, then we go to the editor. And here we can see we have a couple templates. So what we could do is we could go ahead and change the content of this particular template, which is this is the style.css. So here you can see all other templates, 404.php, archives.php. I think we could utilize the archives.php. So come over here. So what you could do is you could switch out the content of the archives.php, update the file, and with this you can leverage a reverse shell. So what we'll do is we'll put in a reverse shell code instead of the code that's here. So to get a reverse shell code, you can go over to Pentest Monkey. So with Pentest Monkey, you can get a reverse shell. So I have done this before, so I can just come over here to my downloads and directly to the directory where the PHP reverse shell file is stored. So one thing you do need to do here is to edit it. So here you have to ensure it has your IP address. And now my IP address is, to get your IP address, you can easily do ifconfig, which is simply this. With this command, you can get your IP address. So mine is 10.8. Yeah, I think you could also change the port to the desired port, but this is okay for me. So you can go ahead and save this. So what you need to do is just copy this old code and just paste it over here. So now you can see you have the reverse shell code here. You can go ahead and update the file. So now that the file has been updated, so what you need to do is visit this particular templates over the web server to get it to run, and you need to have a listener open before you'll be able to catch a shell. So let's set up a listener. I like using Metasploit as it automates the whole process and makes it easier. So we use MSF console. So just visit this site. So what you need to do is get these particular IP details. Then WP content. So yeah, you can see this, the particular theme is 2015. So copy this. So before you go ahead and visit this particular site, set up the listener properly. So use exploit multi-handler. So check the options that need to be set. Here you can see you need to set the local host and the local port to match the port number that was in that reverse shell payload. So your payload should be CMD slash Unix that's reverse_bash. You can go ahead and run it. Now you can see the listener is up and running, so you can go ahead and visit the site now, which triggers the reverse shell code to run. I believe with this we should be able to catch a shell. Now you can see command shell session 1 opened. So now that we've got the shell, we can check the user privilege we have using who am I. So now we are logged in as a user daemon. So to make the terminal more interactive, let's see if they have the Python 3 binary installed. Then we'll spawn a bash shell if it is installed. So let's navigate to the home directory. So this is the hash of the password of the user robot. So you can go ahead and copy this. Then we'll be utilizing an online tool called CrackStation, which would give us the hash value of this particular hash. I don't know why this is taking so long to work. I'm sorry. So with this, we've been able to get the value of the hash, and this can be used as the password of the user root. So you can, of the user robot. So you can go ahead and switch user to the user robot using SU robot. We've been able to gain access as a user robot. So let's make this particular terminal more interactive too. We'll copy this. With this, we've been able to uncover the second key. So now we need to get the third key, which is likely stored at the root directory. But before we can be able to access that, we need to gain privilege as the root user. So what we can do next is let's list out the privileges of the user robots using sudo -l. So here it says user robots may not run on sudo. So which means he's not allowed to run the sudo command. What we could do next is we could look for binaries. We could probably leverage to gain access as root. So I'll be using the find command. So now that we know there's a SUID binary set, we can go ahead and use the GTF bins to get script that would allow us exploit the particular SUID binary that's been set. And for this, we'll be using the nmap. So you can come over here, GTF bins. So search for nmap. You can just open it. You can see to get a shell, since we know it has a root privilege, we can just copy this, the nmap interactive. And you go ahead and prompt it for a shell, which you can do using this command here. Copy this. And you can see we've gained root privileges, which you can confirm using the who am I command. You can see you're now the user root. So let's go ahead and change directory to the root directory. So this is where the third key is stored, which you can go ahead and copy. Then open it up. So I think there's an error with the way I've copied it. So I think I'll just type it out instead. You can go ahead and copy this particular flag. Now with this, we've been able to complete this particular challenge. Thank you.